progressivism is a societal cancer. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative. As you may have noticed, I avoided the topic of feminism in the last month, and not because I don't have anything to say on it, but precisely because I think I've said most of the things that I wanted to say on the topic. And of course, I don't want to make my Voice of Europe podcast on AVFM redundant. Also, there is this rise of, should I call it, mainstreamish anti-feminism? Yeah, let's go with that. Mainstreamish anti-feminism. So given this reality, I thought I could now head towards other topics. But no, I can't do that for too long because something fucked up has to happen to piss me off. Obviously, what pissed me off this time is the Rouge V saga that's currently taking place in Canada. But not the saga itself. I mean, come on, Rouge V has matured enough, and I can't imagine that he didn't expect that he'll be harassed by special snowflakes and other similar idiots. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure he did expect it, and this is evidenced by the fact that he had redundancy arrangements, or he had someone helping him. Either way, he held his speech in Toronto anyway, and defied the orthodoxy of that place. So no, it wasn't the shitstorm itself that pissed me off, but, you know, these two tweets. First, it was the tweet of the mayor of Toronto, Denis Coderre, who tweeted that Rouge is not welcomed in Toronto because he had allegedly advocated the legalization of rape on private property. Now, Rouge did no such thing, and that's extremely easy to check. Perhaps the mayor should get a translator, as Rouge doesn't write in French, so maybe, just maybe, the mayor is confused. But you know what? Fuck that shit. Now, let's cut right through that satire, no it's not, argument, and let's just assume that Rouge actually did that. Let's assume that Rouge wrote a policy manifesto in which he advocated that rape on private property should be legal. Yeah, let's assume all of that. Well, so fucking what? No, seriously, so fucking what? I know that some of you are now already typing, but Lucian, that's horrible. Well, yeah, it is, but whatever happened to sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words may never hurt me, or things like that. I mean, seriously? More to the point, Toronto is the home of one of the most vile bigots in North America, and yes, I'm looking at you, University of Toronto. If you ask me, even if Rouge had advocated such barbarity, which again, he did not, he would still be far more okay than the upper middle class, overly pampered, privileged cunts that physically assaulted Rouge, tried to bend the law and used the violence of the state to silence their opposition, and in the past also used raw violence in a bid to silence other non-feminist voices, and we'll get to that in a moment. The second tweet that pissed me off is the tweet by the local council member, Norm Kelly, who took it upon himself to urge, quote, all venue locations in Toronto to deny Rouge V the opportunity to use their space, because he and his views aren't welcomed in Toronto. Nick ta mère, tavarshi! Are you fucking kidding me, mate? Has Toronto declared itself a People's Republic recently and I haven't found out? Who the hell do you think you people are? You are very, very dangerous people indeed. Your fanaticism and your control freak mentality ought to make you incompatible with ever holding office in a free country. Fucking hell. Because, you know, let's be clear on this. Such a behavior is to be expected in, I don't know, let's say Belarus, where Sasha Lukashenko is the absolute boss and the large city's mayors are his minions who have absolute authority to decide who and whose views are welcomed into their city and who isn't. And I mean their cities literally. But for a country which prides itself as being a free society, such a behavior should lead to immediate impeachment or, at the very least, to public opprobrium and a harsh sanction at the ballot box. But who am I kidding? This not only won't happen, but the chattering class and the cathedral media in Canada will cheer at such overt totalitarianism because freedom goes away the fastest under a thunder of applause. Fucking plebs. And look, I'm not even a friend of Rouge myself. In fact, I consider most of his ideas on game and other things of that nature to be utter rubbish. But that doesn't matter at all, and it should not matter at all. The true test to one's commitment to freedom of association and speech comes exactly when upholding speech and association that one finds utterly abhorrent. And that's why I fundamentally object to any idea of banning feminism and other similarly idiotic ideas. No, absolutely not. No one should be censored. Au contraire, as the Toronto mayor would say, more free speech for the fembots too. If not for free speech, how would we know the utter vermin that lies under the veneer of tolerance, equality, and all the other bullshit that feminists claim they are for? If not for free speech, how would we get to enjoy the downfall of feminism and more people start learning the actual stances that come out from the feminist ivory tower? And you know what? This is exactly why feminists are against freedom of expression. The chief ideologues, particularly in Canada, know damn well that once the light is being cast upon their ideas, the game is over. Rouge said in his interview with the rebel media that those who pursued him were naive kids. Well, that may be true in the case of those actually doing the physical pursuit, but those who riled them up are not naive at all. They actually know damn well what they're doing. And in Canada, riling up a mob to pursue non-feminist voices is actually standard operating procedure, particularly in Toronto. But let's leave Rouge aside for a moment, because, Rouge saga may be the story of the moment, but in the grand scheme of things, Rouge's saga is just the latest manifestation in a very long stream of manifestations of genuine feminist theocracy. And I really think the term theocracy is very fitting because you have large sections of the state apparatus vigorously supporting the feminist orthodoxy, mainly because it's profitable and because it's been infiltrated progressively, like a disease, by feminist ideologues. But besides the state as the enforcer, Canada also has a small dilettante but very vocal minority of feminist theocrats and useful idiots who act as a false civil society. Gramsci style. And then there's the rest of the society, which tends to be apathetic anyway and who is kept under the illusion that most people actually believe in the feminist nonsense spewed by the state and the so-called civil society. This is exactly how you install and maintain a theocracy. How do you think Iran works? Exactly like this. A small but vocal minority of theocrats and useful idiots act as false civil society, and the state is entirely controlled by the most orthodox followers of the Ayatollah. To prove what I just said, I only need to look back less than 3 years into Canada's recent history. For instance, when esteemed Dr. Warren Farrell wanted to hold a lecture at the University of Toronto on the issue of male suicide, this is what happened.
2 of my friends committed suicide, and I want the peace of understanding why that happened.
Wow. When did this happen?
It happened about 2 years ago. It was one after the other, like that.
Did you expect to get some addressing of suicide issue at the talk here?
Yes, I did.
What I have to ask on that, and I'll ask you, is why this space to talk about that? Feminism, for example, offers lots of spaces to talk about mental health issues, talk about depression, both in men, women, and people who don't identify within the binary.
I think everybody's voice should be heard.
You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum. You are fucking scum. Fucking rape apologist, incest supporting, woman hating, fucking scum.
Is there someone else that can wait? Does someone follow me?
Fucking scum. Yeah, just another.
I just want to listen to someone else's opinion. I'm not even on a side here. I just listen to as many people as I can.
You know what though? Why would you pay money to fucking support a fucking rape apologist if you weren't fucking one?
I've never heard him say anything that was.
Well, it's fucking scum.
Many thanks to Studio Brûlé for that footage, by the way. So, feminists used violence, both physical and verbal, just to stop a lecture, not by a random non-feminist on the internet like Rouge, but by an internationally renowned academic. And mind you, that incident was just the first in a stream of similar events across Canada. Feminists have pulled fire alarms, brought bullhorns into the lectures, and all sorts of other shit just to prevent any sort of speech that may be transgressive to the progressivist feminist dogma. I'll leave some links in the low bar with other similar incidents. University of Ottawa professor, for example, Janice Fiamengo, has been the victim of such tactics multiple times in the past 3 years. So much for feminists being in favor of women expressing themselves freely. But besides the fire alarms and the violence in universities, the violence on private property against non-feminist bloggers and other speakers, and many other fascist tactics, the Canadian feminists are also experts in using the violence of the state to silence their opposition. As we speak, a Canadian man faces jail time because he disagreed with 2 feminists on Twitter. Seriously, I'm not joking, nor am I exaggerating. A man told 2 feminists on Twitter that they're harassing people who disagree with them after the fembots in questions bragged about how they're harassing the guy who made that video game which encouraged players to punch Anita Sarkeesian in the face. And to prove that they're not harassing anyone, the feminists used legal shenanigans to actually get a lawsuit going against this guy, calling them out on their harassment. If they win, and sadly I kinda expect that the feminists will win, it will essentially become illegal to disagree with feminists or risk going to jail. How is this really different from a genuine theocracy? In Saudi Arabia, publicly disagreeing with a policymaker from the religious police is also illegal and carries the risk of jail time. And let's be crystal clear on this. We're not talking about feminists having become what they purport to hate. Feminists have always been like that. It's just that they had slightly more tact, and the so-called patriarchal society in the past was less willing to publicly call a group of women out on their bullshit. That society was so oppressive that it didn't dare to call the revolutionary women's liberation on its bullshit. Wait, what? It doesn't make any sense, you say? Well, it's ideology. It's not supposed to make sense. Ultimately, what is there to say about such species of human vermin that still run, or at least attempt to run, the narrative on sexual politics in Canada? I'm not even convinced the English language even has proper words to characterize them. I know a few less than gushing words in other languages, but if I have to stick to English, I'd say that totalitarian fucktards is a proper description. Feminist censorship by these totalitarian fucktards has become so commonplace in modern-day Canada that Erin Pizzey's appreciation that Canada is the worst country in the world to be a man needs some amendments. Canada is on its way to becoming the worst country in the world to be an atheist in regards to the feminist religion, just like most of the population of Canada, and the planets for that matter, is an atheist in regards to the Zoroastrian religion. Most of the populace in Canada is also an atheist in regards to the feminist religion. But the feminist religion is still upheld by the force of the state. Many say that overt censorship is the sign of a dying ideology. Well, I don't really think so. Overt censorship may be indeed the sign of a dying regime. You know, the regime of the Catholic Church or the communist regimes in Eastern Europe are good examples of regimes that collapsed, at least in part, because the populace had had enough of the censorship and the bullshit. But in order to kill an ideology, it takes more than just signs of overt censorship. Anyway, I'll leave the topic of how to kill an ideology for another time. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section, including if you're offended. Not that I care whether I offended you or not, but I enjoy reading comments from the genuinely offended. Also, make sure you visit the Patreon page and make sure you drop some shekels there too. More shekels. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.